Back in October 2025, something happened that shattered the trust of millions of small business owners all across India. But here's the thing, it wasn't some complex cyber weapon. It was something far more ordinary. And because of that, far more terrifying. You see, this isn't a story about a brilliant, elaborate heist. It's a story about a truly catastrophic failure. And that's really the heart of this whole story. The catastrophe that exposed the private lives of millions wasn't some kind of sophisticated attack. No, it was a failure of the absolute basics, a simple but utterly devastating oversight.
We're talking about a digital door, basically just left wide open for 2 whole years, streaming the secrets of an entire economy out onto the open web for literally anyone to see. Okay, so to really grasp just how big this disaster was, we have to start with the company right at the center of it all, Dukaan.
You see, Dukaan isn't just some random tech company. For millions of traditional, local shops, the kiranas that are really the heart of Indian commerce, Dukaan is their digital lifeblood. It promised them a safe and easy way into the online world.
So what exactly was at stake? Well, it's pretty staggering. For 2 straight years, a misconfigured server was just broadcasting everything: names, home addresses, even live order details for 16 million customers. But the most dangerous part, no, the really scary part, was the exposure of private API keys and payment tokens. We're talking about the master keys to a merchant's entire financial world.
But here's what's truly concerning. The Dukaan story, it wasn't a one-off, not even close. It was really just a symptom of this global epidemic. And the numbers from the last year alone, wow, they are just staggering. Take South Korea, where the e-commerce giant Coupang exposed the data of nearly 34 million customers.
Then in the US, the fintech lender Prosper had a breach that hit over 17 million of its users.
And the African e-commerce platform Anka, they saw data for more than 500,000 users get exposed. And what about globally? Get this. India's cybersecurity agency, CERTI, reported finding a single superdump that contained 16 billion credentials. That's usernames, passwords, tokens, all circulating online. The scale is just, it's almost impossible to wrap your head around.
So, the big question is, why? Why is this happening over and over again? What's the common thread here? Well, it turns out the reality of these breaches is a lot less exciting than you might think.
You know, we all have this image in our heads, right? Hooded hackers in dark rooms writing complex code, these sophisticated nation-state attacks. But the truth? It's much more, well, boring. It's about misconfigured servers, developers leaving passwords in public code. It's about basic, fundamental, and totally preventable human error. Let me give you a perfect example of this in action. The breach at the auto giant Tata Motors. A security researcher found private AWS keys, the master keys to their entire cloud, just sitting there in plain text in the public code of their website. That one simple mistake exposed over 70 terabytes of incredibly sensitive data. And that right there brings us back to what made the Dukaan leak so unbelievably devastating. They leaked something called a bearer token. Now, think of it like this. A password is like a key that might still need a secret handshake, like two-factor authentication. A bearer token, it's a master key that works instantly, no questions asked. Whoever possesses it is the owner, total authority. Okay, so with all of this going on, something had to give, right? This epidemic of just sure negligence couldn't go on forever, and it didn't. The sheer scale of these failures kicked off this seismic shift in how governments think about cybersecurity. The era of excuses was officially over. And India's cybersecurity agency, CERT-N, they just nailed it with this analogy. For way too long, companies put the burden of security on you, the user. The new philosophy? The liability rests with the people who build the bridge, right from the very foundation. So this new way of thinking, it completely redrew the map of who's responsible for what. For the folks in the C-suite, it was a massive shift from just delegating security to actually owning it, requiring their personal sign-off on risk. For project managers, vendor security was suddenly non-negotiable. And for the developers on the front lines, now they have to prove security is baked in from day one. Passing the buck? That just became impossible.
Now, this new accountability, it wasn't just a nice idea on paper. No, it came with some brutally strict, high-pressure rules that have completely changed the entire game.
Just take the 6-hour rule, for example. From the absolute moment a breach is detected, a clock starts ticking. Organizations now have just 6 hours to investigate, gather all the evidence, and formally report the incident to the national authorities. You've got 6 hours. That's it. The pressure is just immense. And the level of transparency that's required now, it's on a whole other level. It's not enough to track your software anymore. Companies have to provide a complete inventory of their hardware, their cryptographic components, their AI models, and even prove they're ready for quantum computing. And let's be crystal clear about something. These are not suggestions. The new framework is explicitly designed to deter and punish. If you don't comply, you're looking at public shaming on watch lists, suspension of your operations, and serious legal consequences. All right, so after this huge regulatory overhaul, what's the big takeaway here? Where does the buck finally stop?
The answer is actually pretty clear now. It stops with everyone. The era of just walling off security inside the IT department is completely over. It is now an unbroken chain of accountability that stretches from the very first line of coded developer rights all the way to the final signature on an audit report from the CEO.
And all of this leaves us with one final, and I think really critical question. In a world where a single unlocked door can lead to a digital disaster, these new rules force a simple inquiry at every single level. Who's responsible for checking the locks?
This is BlackCode 101 reporting for duty, signing off.